I'm done with Family de Chantelle. Like, oh, you know, it's when you get that cheap jewelry. But I love cheap jewelry because then I don't have to feel bad when I lose it or break it. Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of my review / recap of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. This is episode 4, Boiling Point. Girl, let me tell you about these boiling points, child. I mean, well, let me just say one thing about Robalee. Robalee loves her man, okay? In that confessional, she got her arm up all on her man. Like, yeah, we just don't know what Nicole... She just wants to move to Morocco and marry Azan, and that's exactly what she's gonna do. Huh, babe? Robalee's husband looks like Nicole's grandfather. Every single time they show him, I think it's Nicole's grandfather, and it's not. It's not Nicole's grandfather, it's her stepfather. Stepmother, her father's wife, looks like her aunt, or like an older sister. So we first start off with Nicole and Azan, and oh God, you guys, like, I just feel so bad talking about this child. She is at lunch or dinner or something with Papa and Mimi or whatever, her mother and her stepfather, and they're talking about Morocco. She's explaining to them that she is gonna have a Moroccan wedding, but with a Western ceremony, which I'm confused. Is she Christian? For me, if I were to marry a Muslim man, we can get married the Muslim way. Like, I don't care. Like, it's not important to me as long as the law states that we are husband and wife. Like, that's what matters to me. So, but for someone whose family is worried about whether or not she'll be married Muslim, what do they think? If she is married in a Muslim way, do they think that the marriage is not valid? I don't understand. I don't even want the extremely religious people to respond. I want the lukewarm Christians to respond down below. I'm not talking about the devout people who like can't fathom getting married like in another language or like in another culture, like couldn't fathom it. I'm talking about the ones who like don't really have a say, like don't really care, the kind of the way Nicole doesn't really care, but for some reason getting married in the Muslim way or getting married in a non-Christian traditional Western way would be disturbing to you. I want those people to answer and tell me why. You go to church 3 times a year, yet the idea of getting married to someone Muslim in a Muslim way is upsetting. Tell me why that would be upsetting, because I don't get it. If you're not super devoutly whatever, why would it matter what the ceremony was, right? You just want to be married to this person. Like, you just want the state and the government to recognize that you are a union. Her family is worried about that, and Papa Joe like buffs up and is like, well then tell us, because she's like, you guys don't know, as though like she has all the answers. And she's like, well tell us then, damn it. If we don't know, tell us what the heck we got wrong about this entire situation, because you're being dumb and you're making a lot of dumb, stupid choices. And I'm just like, and Robalee is low-key like, it's all very confusing. Like, I showed you guys pictures of what a Moroccan wedding looked like. It looks beautiful, okay? Yes, not everybody who is Middle Eastern or Arab, you know, is Muslim. Nicole is trying on dresses, girl. Like, she is trying on wedding dresses, and they get in there. The saleswoman at the dress place asks Nicole what their budget is, and she looks to Mom. She's like, what's our budget? And Mom is like, what? She's like, what's the budget? And she's like, didn't know I was buying this dress. And Nicole was just like, you knew you were buying this dress. And Robalee's like, you just said in the last scene when we had lunch that we weren't gonna have to pay for anything, that they were gonna pay for it. And I know that's what I was thinking. If Robalee wasn't thinking that, I know that's what I was thinking. And so she's just like, okay, 2,000, you know, Nicole just throws out 2,000. But Nicole knew what was happening. She knows her mother. She knows how to play them. She's been doing it since she was younger. And it's all started to become crystal clear to us as the viewers that what's going on. They are so enabling, it's crazy. Like, Robalee makes a statement, well, you know, she's my baby girl, so I got her the dress. I mean, it turns out the dress wasn't $2,000. But it also wasn't the right type of dress for a Moroccan wedding. Let me give you some examples of a Moroccan wedding dress. Even if it were non-Muslim, they're still very conservative. There is no way that Nicole is gonna walk down the aisle in the dress that she chose. She is, I mean, just overfloweth, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think anything is wrong with that. I think trying to go to Morocco and doing that is ludicrous. So Rob-a-Lee just spent $800 on a dress that Nicole is I mean, obviously never gonna wear because she's not gonna marry Azan, but even if that gets through, she's not gonna be able to wear that dress to that wedding, to that Moroccan Muslim wedding. And she was so happy. It was like all of her dreams. You know, Rob-a-Lee's trying to say like maybe this, and she's like, stop it. Stop it. This is my moment. I never thought I'd be trying on wedding dresses, and I'm here. So I'm going to enjoy it. Rob-a-Lee's just like, okay. I just can't, you guys. It's too much. It's too much. You know what I'm saying? It's too much for my poor little spirit's take, and I won't take any more of it. So now we move on to Jorge and Anfisa. This is when they're getting ready to go to see the therapist. They are parking, and for some reason Anfisa like can't get out next to a bush. Like Jorge gets out and opens the door for her, and honestly if he wasn't standing there she would have been able to get out perfectly fine. So I'm like, that in that moment I'm like, there's the Anfisa I know, like the random just bitchy person, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't park next to the bush, how am I supposed to get out? Girl, just get out of the car, girl. Like, I don't get it. Anyway, so they get inside the therapist's office, and then we see another side of Anfisa that I'm like, are you real? Like, is this the person underneath the like mildly bitchy person? Because she's in there talking about how George doesn't support her. They have problems in their relationship because he lies, and like George doesn't see it as lying. He like spins it in a way that makes himself look good. Like, he hates to break anyone's heart, so he'd rather just lie to them to make them feel good. And I'm like, Jorge, in what world does that actually work? Like, you're not an adult if you think that that works in any kind of world beyond like your immediate family. You can't lie to anyone else because no one else is gonna love you like your mom, you know what I'm saying, or your sister. So like, she's like, you're not communicating with me. He's like, oh, I'm just protecting you. She's like, well, you lied to me. He's like, no, it was a miscommunication. And I'm just like, no, Jorge, he's not getting this. Like, he thinks that going to this counselor, they're gonna get like a book and a booklet, and he's gonna give them the answers on how to do it, and if they can take some stuff out of it, they'll be fine. And the truth is they need ongoing therapy and counseling so that they can learn how to manage each other, so they can learn how to love each other the way each of them needs to be loved. And even the therapist says, hey, so when you don't tell her the truth, you're controlling her emotions, you're manipulating her into having certain emotions, and then when it comes out that you're saying something different, it pulls the rug from underneath there. And he's like, oh, yeah. I'm just like, no, Jorge, you're a punk, and you don't want to acknowledge that you're not as great as you pretend to be. And when it comes to the surface, you have the audacity to blame Anfisa for it. Like, I don't have the money right now. She's like, what? You brought me here under false pretenses. Like, I fell in love with you. Yes, because you had everything I wanted and I like you. But like, honestly, guys, so for those of you who are living in La La Land about the love and bullshit, like, I get it. But like, he lied to her. And if part of the reason why you're so into somebody is because they're financially fit, and you find that you have envisioned yourself being with somebody who can give you all these things so that you can be the best you can be, and when you find out they're not that, that doesn't necessarily mean you only love them for the money. That means that a part of the reason why you love them is going away. It's crazy, and you can tell that Jorge's not getting anything out of this thing, and Anfisa starts to cry. And she's like, I feel alone and I feel bereft here. He talks about me in front of his family. He talks badly about me. Now, at first I was like, I don't understand how we know, or how she thinks, or why she thinks that he talks badly about her. And I guess it's because when they're at dinner that time with Lourdes, and you know, instead of him standing up and saying, you know, I told her that I had more money, and then when I got here and things went bad, I wasn't honest with her, and so it was frustrating for her, and so a lot of it was coming off, and I felt guilt, and then I didn't want to talk to you guys because we weren't doing well. He didn't say that. He basically tells Anfisa that she needs to prove to them, his family, that she's not bad. And Anfisa's probably thinking, well, why do they even think I'm bad? They think I'm bad because you told them something. So later on in the episode with Jorge and Anfisa, they're driving in the car and they're going back to, I guess, the house or whatever, and they're starting to have the conversation about what happened in therapy. And Jorge can't even answer. He's just literally come out of the therapy session, and they do like a confessional with him outside, and he can't even tell them what he learned because he literally didn't learn anything, because he has he's just like, I was there, I was supportive, like just completely detached himself from the whole process. And Anfisa, who's like Ice Princess, you know, Ice Queen of Russia, who doesn't talk about her business, divulged some really personal things about how she's feeling and started crying, and George couldn't do it. Like, they're in the car and he was like, well, what I did before is in the past. Like, it's not now. And she's like, but George, what if it happens again? And he's like, well, then we'll just deal with it like anew. And I'm just like, How is that possible? How are you able to literally remove what has happened in the past from informing your future decisions? How is that I'm unable. Like, how are you able to just be like, that was in the past. Like, I'm not gonna think about it. I'm not gonna allow it to inform my decisions or my feelings that happen in the future. How is that possible? How I don't get it. And he really expects Anfisa to do this. And I'm like, no, you guys are gonna continue to have problems because you don't even know how to work through them when you get them. You are still gonna lie to her. You still aren't gonna defend her to your family. You're still not gonna explain all that you did to cause this situation to happen. You're not going to be the man that she needs. And that's what she's trying to get him to get, but he doesn't get it. So, you know, it's frustrating and I feel her. She's like, George, we're not okay. I'm not okay, George. Like, we moved back in with each other, but that doesn't mean that all of the behavior that has happened in the past is just disappeared and gone and we're starting afresh with no memory of what happened. Like, no, how is that possible? Humans don't behave that way. Okay, so the next people we go to are Pao and Russ. So with Pao and Russ, Pao meets with her homeboy who is so disrespectful to Russ, and it's not clear why. They say it so many times. Why Juan doesn't like Russ. And the main reason why is because they think that Russ somehow changed Pao into being somebody that they don't know. He doesn't know, her family doesn't know, and he feels as though Russ came in with his American dream and his Americanness and stole his best friend. And I'm like, at the end of the day, Russ doesn't have magical powers. Pao is making the choices she's making in her life to be with Russ and not talk to her family or her friends. That is on her. Why be mad at Russ? He's obviously like a wimp. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's obviously not the kind of guy that Pao normally dates. And Juan knows that. I still don't get why he's blaming Russ. And he's blaming Russ because he loves Pao and he has to blame the other person because he's like, why would my best friend who I've been through thick and thin with do this to me? And it just doesn't make any sense, and it's childish and it's petty. And Pao keeps trying to make something happen that's not gonna happen, you know, like fetch. Like, it's just not gonna happen, Gretchen. She just don't wanna let it go, and it's just uncomfortable television, and honestly, that is the beginning of the end of it. I mean, she has a lunch with Juan, begs him to meet with Russ, gives it one more try, even though she knows that it's not gonna work. And then she goes to Russ and she begs him, basically saying like, I don't wanna go out without you because we're here in Colombia together, so we should go out together. And I just don't like get it. It just seems like really crazy. And the fact that they're low-key, Juan is kind of mad at Russ for taking her to Oklahoma. He took her home. He didn't take her to the bottom of the Grand Canyon where no one lives and told her to survive. He took her back to his home place, his home state, and she wasn't happy there. Then he tried to make her happy by moving to Miami where he's not happy, and he got that stupid haircut, and now we all have to suffer. We all see how unhappy Russ is in Miami. As far as I'm concerned, everybody is doing the best that they can, okay? This situation is weird, so I'm not gonna talk about Pao and Russ anymore. That is all they get. So next we move on to Chantelle and Pedro. It's still awkward. We're still in the cabin. We left off with Chantelle being like, my parents bring up some very valid points, and I don't know if I can trust Pedro. Chantelle gives us like two emotions, you know? I don't think I've ever seen her smile. Like, she just moves her eyes and her lashes are flapping and she just moves her mouth. Like, she's just like, I don't understand why we have to go through this so much. Anyway, so she basically says, yeah, man, you messed up last night by bringing that up. You got drunk. And then they're sitting down having a conversation. Her parents come downstairs, I guess, presumably like for the beginning of the day. And they try to talk to him. I know leaving Chantelle here, you know, alone, you know, like we go to Dominican Republic, 1 day, 2 days, 5 weeks. That's it. So anyways, they go on to talk about, you know, what's going on with the money, and Chantelle puts her foot down and she's like, I don't feel like what's happening between me and my husband money-wise is anyone's business, which I agree, but homegirl, you were the one who opened up the gate to talk about that by telling them how much money he's sending back home to his mother. They're sitting there, and then you think it can't get worse, and it does. Chantelle's parents tell Pedro that they are going to start an investigation on his mother. He basically says, my mother is a lawyer that deals with visas. You know, she works with people to get their visas into other countries. I have no idea how a visa process works in another country. Like, I just don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna try to speculate. I'm an American traveling other places, so I don't know what it's like coming from another place to America, right? So they think that the mother has a racket going on. And then Pedro's like, well, yeah, well, it happens where you come to the States, you organize it, you marry for 2 years, you get your green card, and you get divorced. And they're like, ha, the fact that you know that. I'm like, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that that is the racket. Americans commit visa fraud all the time to get money to bring people here. Like, people do that here. People have asked me if I would marry somebody from another country. I'm like, no, because like, I'm not trying to mess up my credit dealing with anybody. You know, there's a lot more that goes into it than that. But like, it happens. So it's crazy that they're like, well, that is suspicious because you know. And he's like, my mother doesn't do that. And Chantel's like, his mother had nothing to do with our visa process. And that upsets him. He goes upstairs. He talks to his sister. I mean, it makes me feel like they don't have any faith in their daughter. Like they really don't think that she has found somebody who loves her genuinely. Like, and I think that's so sad for her. For Pedro, I feel I'd be so offended. So next we move on to Molly and Luis. Okay, so the snow has just fallen. You know, Mama is there helping Luis with Kinsley when it turns out really she's not helping Luis do anything. She's actually doing it all. You know, Kingsley is eating Trix and Sunny D, which sounds disgusting. And like they go outside to have a snowball fight and Luis is like, I don't like snow, playing in the snow was so cold. I don't like it too much. No. Kingsley and then Molly. I guess Kingsley was being a good girl and she tried to have a conversation with Luis about what's going on, and Luis is honest with Mom and he's like, this, I don't want to be a stepdad. I don't want this. Kingsley wipes her mouth on her shirt and no one says anything. No one gets her a napkin and I just am like, I don't understand, but it's okay. So Molly's mother is there and she talks with Louise. Like he just wants her to be there the whole time, you know, and she's just like, I can't be here the whole time. And he's like, I can't be here the whole time, you know. So Molly's mother and Kinsley end up having a Skype conversation with Molly while she's out on the road. She's disappointed to hear that Louise hasn't really been helping out, you know. She's disappointed to hear that. It just is what it is. When she gets back home, she basically tells Luis that she doesn't want to try anymore and that this is really hard and that he has to step up, and he's just like, are you gonna tell me to get out? And she just shrugs her shoulders and walks away, and I feel like she's the most honest she's ever been with him, and when she's talking, I feel her